the Trump administration's unlawful and ruthless deportation campaign is so bad that people would rather stay in jail than be free out on the streets. Today, we're talking about the Kilmar Abrego Garcia case and updating you on what's going on over there and some of the trumped up charges against him. I'm Shant Karnikian. That's Brian Kabateck. This is Civil Action on the Legal AF Network. If you like this content, please subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you can keep seeing more of it and be up to date when we drop new episodes. Brian, why don't you get us up to speed on what's going on in that case?
Sure. I think the first place to start on this, Sean, is to remind people that a lawsuit was filed a few weeks ago, a class action lawsuit by public interest groups saying that it is patently illegal to cut loose and release somebody who is legitimately going through immigration proceedings in immigration court. And as the minute they step out of immigration court, they get arrested. Now, that's part one of the story. Part two of the story is that Mr. Abrego Garcia himself, is the story is well known, was scooped up and sent to this prison in El Salvador. Very recently, the whistleblower, one of the top-ranking people in the immigration department of the Department of Justice, Mr. Runveni, came out and said specifically that they were unable to find any evidence of this individual being part of a violent gang, MS-13 specifically. And as the evidence has come out in this case, the best that they could come up with, the best that anyone could say is that he was wearing gang-related clothing, and that came down to a Chicago Bulls hat, which I guess that Michael Jordan and a whole host of people in the city of Chicago must now be MS-13 members. There was no other evidence about that. He had no criminal record. He gets deported. The president of El Salvador,
he was wrongly deported. He was mistakenly deported to El Salvador. He
over a court order.
Yeah, over a court order. Yep.
The president of El Salvador says, I have no power to bring him back. That's because, he's got his tongue so far down Donald Trump's throat. He's going to do whatever Donald Trump says. Eventually, there's a court order to bring him back. He does come back. And on his way back, without him present, they indict him for now being a coyote, a smuggler of illegals in the United States, because there was a traffic stop, a suspicious traffic stop in 2022. And not surprisingly, if you've been involved in the criminal or civil justice system any part of your life, there suddenly comes forward informants who have their own legal trouble and who are given a hall pass for their legal trouble to say, oh yeah, that guy was a coyote. He was taking illegal aliens across state lines. And that's the basis for the indictment, which has been, at this point, largely undermined. So there's not a whole lot there.
So let me recap here. He gets mistakenly and wrongly deported to one of the worst prisons in El Salvador over a court order. There's another court order compelling him to be brought back. Before he comes back, not before he was deported, before he comes back, the Justice Department brings charges, indicts him on human trafficking charges, on smuggling people charges, while he's coming back. Yeah, that's great. That's just great. Go on.
So he's got two criminal cases going, one for immigration and one for this indictment. And it looks like he's going to be released, no bail. He's from Maryland. There's a federal judge in Tennessee that he's been in front of, and a U.S. magistrate judge that he's been in front of, and he's going to be released. Now, what does our government do when they find out that they're losing on this very high-profile situation? Do they, A, issue an apology, B, take him to McDonald's for a Happy Meal, or C, double down?
Oh, they double down. They indicate that they want to capture him. They publicly announce that they will deport him if he's released. So what does his team do? Abrego Garcia's team, his attorneys, they ask the judge to delay the release because the judge says, I'm going to release him. There's pending further hearings. There's insufficient evidence that this guy's a flight risk or a danger to society. Look, he might be a criminal. I don't know. There's charges against him, but he's not the violent criminal they make him out to be. But anyway, the situation is so bad in this country for immigrants or people in this position that his own lawyers ask for a 30-day delay in the release so he can stay in prison because, as we talked about in another episode, ICE officers are snatching up people in courthouses. The prosecutors that are prosecuting deportation cases and other type of immigration related cases are deliberately dismissing the case. So they're no longer part of this process, but they still trick them into showing up to the hearing, dismissing the case, and immediately, oftentimes in courtrooms when the case is dismissed, they snatch them up.
Shant, it's not just a maybe kind of, it might happen. The government's actually come out and said, we're going to deport him. The minute
no happy
he comes
meals.
out in
no
an
happy meals.
expedited
Deportation.
and to a third country, not to where he's from, but to a third company. So he too could end up in the Sudan.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, this whole strategy is just wild.
Here's what happened is the federal judge in Tennessee said there is no justification to continue detaining him. That was her order. Then the judge in Maryland, where the immigration matters pending, said, made it clear that he was going to be, she was advised that he was going to be deported to a third country. And then his own lawyers said, no, keep him in jail until we sort this out, which is exactly what happened. So I've been doing this for, my entire adult life. I started working in the law when I was 19, and I'm going to be 64 in a couple of weeks. My entire adult life, I've done this. I cannot remember a single situation where a lawyer has asked a court to keep a client in custody, ever.
I know. I'm telling you, it's really bad.
It's ridiculous, but it also drives home, and I guess these are my final thoughts on this. This is how bad it is, but thank God we have people in the legal system who are at least fighting these issues.
Yeah.
Because hopefully orders will come down in the immigration class action case I talked about earlier, saying you can't simply pick somebody up when they're going through the legal process by dismissing charges or coming up with legal machinations. You can't do it. So once that happens, maybe things are going to be better. But right now, wise, intelligent lawyers out there, and there are plenty of them. Believe me, folks, there are plenty of lawyers out there who are fighting the good fight, are putting a stop to that. So that's my final thoughts. And as usual, Shant, you get the last word.
Yeah, I think this is just a desperate ploy. I think there's two notable things here. Number one is the charging the guy with some old charge about some pretty thin claims from years ago, which, by the way, is not a violent crime. He was helping people cross. He was allegedly helping people cross the border. It's not like he's a murderer. There is still no proof that he is affiliated with MS-13, much less a member of, or has ever engaged in any violent acts with or through the gang or something like that. So they charge him with that while he's coming back from his wrongful deportation, just to save face. I think to save face with the public and say, we're going to go after this guy. He's their new favorite villain. And I don't know, maybe he is a criminal. Maybe he does get ultimately convicted. I don't know. But the point of all of this is due process needs to be followed. And I'm glad that the court stepped in and ordered him to be brought back from El Salvador. And I think you're right that class action that was filed challenging this type of behavior, I think will succeed. And it's a worthwhile challenge. And I think you're absolutely right. There's good lawyers out there fighting this fight. And I think it should be encouraged because, again, I've said this before, this is the last line of defense against authoritarian tactics that Trump's trying to employ. And it should be stopped. It violates the Constitution. And I think the court system and our entire judicial system will do the right thing here, and he will be stopped. I'm Shant Karnikian. That's Brian Kabateck. This is Civil Action on Legal AF. Thanks for tuning in. If you like this content, hit the subscribe button so you can see more of us, and we'll see you next time.
Can't get your fill of Legal AF? Me neither. That's why we formed the Legal AF Substack. Every time we mention something in a hot take, whether it's a court filing or a oral argument, come over to the Substack. You'll find the court filing and the oral argument there, including a daily roundup that I do called, wait for it, Morning AF. What else? All the other contributors from Legal AF are there as well. We got some new reporting. We got interviews. We got ad-free versions of the podcast and hot takes. Where? Legal AF on Substack. Come over now to free subscribe.